The following Discovery on Demand program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption by Lipitor.
In the secret world of counterintelligence, one fear looms larger than all others: betrayal from within. By a traitor you believe is a friend.
How dare you? How could you do that to us? We are all in this fight together.
The name of FBI agent Robert Hanssen, traitor and spy, has come to symbolize betrayal on a scale unmatched before or since.
This man betrayed secrets leading to the darkest day in American history, September 11th.
This is the inside story of the hunt to trap the most damaging spy of all time.
I gotta go.
It has remained secret until now. Washington, D.C. In the heart of the city, there's a spy among the very people charged with protecting the nation, the FBI. The traitor must be uncovered. But who can carry out such a delicate task?
The case was a little different than what I had done in my background.
Eric O'Neill isn't sure what he's taking on. There's no manual for a mission like this.
I had been working on the street and was told that there was a temporary duty assignment to headquarters to work undercover on a potential target. It was very tense from the beginning. One of the largest cases the FBI had worked in their history. So you can imagine the pressure right from the start.
O'Neill, with only 4 years' experience at the FBI, has been handpicked for perhaps the most sensitive and secret operation ever mounted.
No one at headquarters was to know, except for a very few select people.
It's the climax of an operation which has been underway for nearly 2 decades.
I didn't want to be the single guy in this chain of people who had been looking for this target for years, who screwed it up.
O'Neill's mission is prompted by a further act of betrayal. A KGB double agent has offered to sell documents which will help identify the mole. The traitor is now given a code name, Gray Suit. The Gray Suit file has been purchased for $7 million. The documents are smuggled out of Russia to be analyzed at FBI headquarters. Now they'll discover whether those millions were well spent.
It takes your breath away. It is the entire operational files. And so you're reading exactly what the Russians are saying to their mole and what the mole is saying to them, and where the dead drops are, their methods of communication, what he had given them, the letters that have been written both ways.
This former White House security advisor is a 23-year veteran of the FBI.
He compromises the CIA. He compromises the entire double agent program run by the U.S. government for over 10 years.
The most damaging thing that he did was to identify the people that we had recruited on the other side.
The former chief of U.S. security served when Gray Suit was most active. Gray Suit is ruthless and cold-blooded. To protect his own identity, he's betrayed Russian agents who were secretly working for the United States. The KGB response to traitors in their ranks was swift and decisive.
Our most precious assets were promptly executed.
The full damage assessment must wait. First, they need to identify the traitor within. The file purchased from Russia shows that Graysuit has concealed his identity, even from his KGB handlers. He uses the code name Raman.
One of the items that was recovered from the KGB was a tape recording of a conversation between the spy and the Russian handlers.
This intelligence specialist is an expert on the case.
I prepared the papers and I left them on the table. I see.
What the hell is that?
You shouldn't worry. Everything is okay. Good.
Much to the horror and much to the dismay of the senior brass at the FBI,
I believe that should be fine. And thank you very much.
the voice on that tape was one of their own.
You want that? A little bit. I suggest that our meeting will take place on February 13th, 1 p.m., okay? I believe that should be fine. And thank you very much.
It's Bob Hanssen.
Bob Hanssen.
The people in that room knew, oh my God, of all the people that you want to have a spy, this is about the worst news that you could have it.
The voice is that of Robert Hanssen, an FBI special agent for 25 years.
This guy was an incredible counterintelligence agent, and here I was working intelligence against him.
Tasking rookie agent Eric O'Neill with close surveillance is a huge gamble by the FBI.
I didn't have a background in undercover James Bond type operations. They wanted someone who was more of a novice.
They fear using a more experienced agent will put Hanssen on the alert.
Bob Hanssen.
Good to meet you, sir.
Good to meet you, Eric. Have a seat. Sure. Well, welcome to Information Resources Division.
Good to be aboard.
Good. When you
Hanssen is a data systems expert. As a cover story to explain his new assistant, he's been promoted to a top-level job in data protection.
I'm 27 years old. 27.
I had to be the perfect assistant and hang on his every word and allow him to become the professor and open himself up to me.
That's me. That's my wife, Bonnie. That's the 27-year-old.
Robert Hanssen's suburban existence in Vienna, Virginia, seems far removed from the twilight world of international espionage. Here's where Hanssen and his wife have brought up 6 children. He's been married for 33 years. His wife, Bonnie, teaches at a Catholic girls' school.
I knew Bob Hanssen since 1980. Now, Bob Hanssen is not what I would call a guy. I wouldn't have gone running with him. I wouldn't have gone out drinking with him. I wouldn't have gone to a football game with him. But I enjoy talking to Bob Hanssen because Bob Hanssen is one of the smartest FBI agents I ever met.
It's a fine family, sir.
Well, we try. Bob, by the way. Call me Bob.
Hanssen was certainly very intelligent,
Good deal, good deal.
but he had a overinflated sense of his brilliance, and he believed that anything he had to say was incredibly important and everyone should listen.
O'Neill. Gotta be some Irish in there.
Yep, there surely is, sir.
You go to Mass, Eric?
Yeah, every Sunday. How about you?
Oh, I go to St. Catherine's myself.
Hanssen is deeply devout. His church is one of the most traditional, where Mass is said in Latin. He attends at 6:30 each morning and is a member of the Catholic group Opus Dei, favored by many of the Washington elite.
Anybody who knew Bob Hanssen and were trying to make a list of who the subjects was would not have put Bob Hanssen on the list if there were 1,000 people.
And I absolve you from your sins.
Above and beyond speaking with him and getting him to open up, I was looking for electronic devices. I was looking for logbooks he might keep. I was looking for a diary if we were really, really lucky. I had to be incredibly careful not to worry him.
It's a required meeting, so you have to...
Or even raise the level of concern to the point where he thought, well, I don't know that I'm under surveillance, but I don't think I'm going to take the risk. I did know that he was armed frequently. He was somewhat of a gun fanatic. We were also in a soundproof room where it would not be too difficult to shoot me and then close the door behind him, and it could be some time before anyone knew.
Can a few crackly words on tape prove this 25-year servant of the state is the traitor Graysuit?
In college, I wanted to be an architect. But after my father had a heart attack, I devoted my life.
Agents hunting the mole known as Graysuit make a second remarkable discovery.
There was something else that was very interesting, a black garbage bag.
The bag once contained documents left for the Russians.
Graysuit, who had been very, very careful with his spycraft, made one critical error.
The garbage bag yields evidence of fingerprints, 15 years old. But whose are they? The moment of truth will come when the prints of Robert Hanssen are compared with those of Graysuit.
The immediate reaction by some people is that the KGB was setting Bob Hanssen up, that somehow they had gotten his thumbprint and they had placed it on there to protect the real mole.
It would be very easy for the target to say, I've been in the FBI for 25 years. I've worked counterintelligence. Why wouldn't they want to hurt me? They could do a bit of double-crossing and frame me and set me up. And I have done any number of communications over to targets I've tried to turn in Russia and become our spies, so why wouldn't there be a voice recording? We didn't have enough to go for more than conspiracy to commit espionage, which would have gotten a maximum of 25 years, and that would have been the end of the story. We wanted to commit to catching him in the act.
If Hanssen is guilty, they need him to talk. If O'Neill can catch him committing espionage, Hanssen will face not just incarceration, but execution. A powerful persuader. Hanssen's new job gives him free access to the innermost secrets of the FBI. It's a bold strategy to trap him.
In essence, they were giving him the keys to the kingdom. They're giving him free reign over the FBI and headquarters and saying, you can take any information you want. Go down to the data room, go look at the FBI supercomputers, see where everything is, and have full access, in the hope that he would take some of the information to the Russians so that we could catch him. We really needed to catch him in the act, and we needed to get him to do a drop.
See you Thursday about 9 o'clock. All right, bye-bye. Okay, I'm going to go see our friends in budget. And if I stop by the machines, you want something?
Nah, no thanks. I'm good.
All right. Well, I'll see you in a few minutes.
My job was to look for places that he might hide information that might give us a heads up for a drop date, when he's going to clandestinely pass secrets to the other side.
The room has been rigged with a secret surveillance camera.
I had a pager to let me know that, hey, you're in the office and Hanssen's on his way. He was the sort of person who, if someone's moved a stapler a fraction of an inch, you know they've done it. in any instance where you are a bad guy and you're worried that the good guys might try to catch you, you have to have some concerns that you're walking into a mousetrap.
If you get used to something, they'll change it.
I was face to face with him and he said, look, Eric, the spy is always in the worst possible place, where he can do the most damage and gain access to the information he needs to do that damage. And he said, I call this Hanssen's Law, and it's the first rule you need to know when you go into counterintelligence, which, as you might imagine, completely floored me. What is he trying to say to me?
Now, O'Neill is worried. Does Hanssen realize that he's under suspicion?
Another worry was that he might flee. We had information that he may have a fake passport and driver's license and those sort of documents that could get him overseas without us knowing.
If Hanssen is the traitor, he needs only the slightest suspicion to make his escape.
Criminals try to get away with murder.
The Russian file reveals an ingenious system of dead drops, like a mailbox for exchanging secrets and cash located in public parks. Each is given a code name. One of them is close to Hanssen's home in Vienna. Foxstone Park, code name Dead Drop Ellis.
Here, Gray Suit came taking a package that looked like this, and it had classified material in it. And he would take the package and place it underneath the bridge, and then an intelligence officer from the Russian intelligence service could come at a later date and pick it up, and they would never be at the same place at the same time.
Now it's revealed how they communicate using a post at the park entrance. A piece of tape placed vertically means it's time to make a drop. Turned horizontally, it means the drop has been made.
These very simple methodologies are brilliant because there's no electronic trail, there's no way to track it. Once it's happened, it's happened. If I call you, it could be wiretapped. If I use a computer, I can monitor that. If I use a satellite communication, that could be monitored. But this, it's simple, but it works.
The start of Eric O'Neill's second week on assignment, and the evidence linking Robert Hanssen and Gray Suit begins to build. The FBI keeps a highly confidential internal database called the Case System, listing current investigations.
When you're going to work a guy, you log in that you're going to work him. That way, nobody's stepping on each other's toes.
On January 22nd, Hanssen goes into the system. He types Foxstone and Dead Drop. Is there an investigation with those keywords anywhere in the system? The ultra-secret Gray Suit case has deliberately been kept out of the database. Hanssen finds nothing. But why was he looking?
The fact that Hanssen checked the case system suggested to us that there's something going on here.
The next day, investigators' suspicions hardened still further. A tracking device has been hidden inside Hanssen's car. At 5:50 p.m., he approaches the entrance to Foxstone Park. Three days later, the same thing. Is he looking for a sign? Is he about to make a dead drop?
The concern and worry were obviously heightened. The net was tightened.
The The pressure to come up with hard evidence, and quickly, is now intense. On the 30th of January, agents make a thorough search of Hanssen's car.
We found a number of things that really let us know that this is a bad guy. He had weapons in the back of his trunk, but he also had things like plastic bags and tape, the sorts of things that you use when you're going to mark signal sites.
There are stolen documents, too, detailing FBI counterintelligence operations. Instead of being seized, they'll be replaced exactly as they were. Just as O'Neill had hoped, Hanssen seems to be planning a drop, where he can be caught red-handed.
Now the investigation moved into an incredibly high gear. Now we knew that this target was no longer a target. He was the spy.
Once they know that, you've now got to concentrate on him and literally strip him like an onion. Look at every aspect of his life.
Hanssen's house on Talisman Drive is placed under 24-hour surveillance.
The FBI, actually, they purchased a house just across the street, and they installed very sophisticated video and audio surveillance devices so they could follow every movement that was occurring in and out of the house.
In these sorts of investigations, the view into another person's life is almost complete.
Hanssen's list of acquaintances is also scrutinized. His closest friend and frequent house guest is Jack Hoshauer, a U.S. Army veteran.
This is not a joke. It was a bluff.
You're going to try to look at everyone he's in contact with. His home phone is monitored. His cell phone's monitored. His keystrokes on his computer.
The image of a loyal FBI agent and a devoted family man now appears no more than a disguise.
Hanssen posted obscene and pornographic stories about his own wife, Bonnie, on the internet.
Bonnie would shower in the mornings and sit perched on a high stool in front of her dresser mirror to do her hair while still naked. She was stimulated enormously by situations where she might be seen naked by other men.
This case is not just about spying.
This writer made a special study of the Hanssen case.
This case is about betrayal on every level, from the oath that an FBI agent takes to his country, to betrayal of his wife. And he also betrayed himself.
Hanssen's innocent-seeming evenings with an old friend have a much darker purpose.
Stay tuned.
Good night.
It will be.
Bizarrely, Hanssen and Jack Hoshauer have their own secret surveillance system inside the house.
They set up a video surveillance from the bedroom to a television monitor in another part of the house. Hoshauer could watch Bonnie Hanssen and Bob Hanssen having sex. Who thinks like that? This is how strange and twisted this man was, and I don't think I begin to know the depths of it.
He's a risk taker. You know, maybe the boredom of life has set in so much that he has to find a kind of a fantasy life, not only espionage, but also sexual fantasies.
Investigators are astonished when they discover just how big a risk Hanssen has been running in his personal life. For 2 years, he pursued an affair with an exotic dancer, Priscilla Gailey. They first meet at a downtown DC strip club, only a short distance from the FBI. Hanssen doesn't even try to disguise his identity, saying that he's a senior official at the Bureau.
She knew about him, and so did her mother and her sisters, and all those people knew. He said he was going to bring her out of this life of sin. He didn't pick an ugly girl to bring out of a life of sin, we noticed.
Bob Hanssen's personal life shocked us as much or more than his espionage.
What bugged me the most is that he was a hypocrite, and a true hypocrite in every sense of the word. You can't sit there in an office with someone and lecture them about morality and church and family, and the whole time he was not even a small bit moral person.
Hanssen is a master of deception in every facet of his life, but he has one weakness, which will bring him down.
In college, I wanted to be.
The FBI still needs hard evidence to nail the traitor.
Hanssen kept a Palm Pilot in his pocket constantly, and the only times he had it out of his pocket is when he sat down and put it on his desk. The Palm Pilot was obviously incredibly important to him. So this great effort to separate Hanssen from the Palm Pilot began.
The Palm Pilot could hold the key to cracking the case. O'Neill devises a strategy to discover what's inside.
Anytime someone who he perceived as inferior was coming around and ordering him around, it greatly angered him.
Right this minute?
Hanssen is ordered down to the FBI's basement shooting range.
All right, I'll be down.
Anyone who's angry and loses their temper makes mistakes. So he got red in the face, muttered a couple of expletives, grabbed his shooting goggles and his gun, and left with them in a huff.
Yeah, feel it.
Good luck.
I went into all the pockets of the briefcase, opened them all up. There were 4 zippered pockets, and saw the Palm Pilot in there. And there was a data card. I ran down to a prearranged location that we had set up just for this event. It was just staffed all the time, just ready in case this happened.
I don't have much time, guys.
I said, would you guys freaking hurry up because I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. They, of course, are just like, don't worry about it, we gotta finish this.
What are we seeing here? It's encrypted. It's not one of ours, this is his encryption. This is gonna take more time.
If you're not getting it, just download it.
It's gonna take, well, I mean, I can copy the contents onto my hard drive, but I don't have time to do that.
Do that. You got it? You getting it?
Hold on.
You want to do another round?
I gotta get this stuff back.
Are we done?
You want to shoot another round?
No, I really don't have the time. I have to.
I gotta go. Got it?
I've got it. Thank you.
Good night.
This guy is now rapidly coming up to an office that is 2 floors above me and doesn't have his Palm Pilot in it. My heart went from somewhat rapid to hurting my chest, and my anxiety, you know, exploded. I realized I've opened every single pocket, and I can't remember which one I pulled it out of. In the last possible second, I just sort of shook my head, you know, dropped the Palm Pilot and the data card into the pockets that I hoped were right, and really tried to just calm my breathing. Sitting there, trying my best not to sweat, because that's a little bit of a tell. I was thinking, there's a good chance I'm about to get shot. He could have realized at that point that the game was up and that he was going to either get the death penalty or life in prison, so what did it matter anyway?
Any calls?
Nope.
It turns out that I had fortunately put the Palm Pilot in the right pocket. We know that because he didn't challenge me on it. In James Bond movies, the bad guys always have all the secrets somewhere for James Bond to find. I don't know what he was thinking, but for some reason he had all his letters to the Russians and other information on that data card.
After 20 years, the master spy has dropped his guard. His pursuers are ready to pounce. FBI targets included not only Russian agents, but terrorists too.
There was a room at the FBI, operated for years, 24 hours a day, that was devoted to nothing but trying to trace and track Osama bin Laden. Robert Hanssen stole a classified online system to track and monitor the movements of various people abroad.
Once in Russian hands, a rogue copy of this top-secret surveillance program is believed to have been offered for sale.
Bin Laden ended up with this information, and it facilitated the al-Qaeda terrorist network climaxing in the devastation of September 11th. This is a spy who might have gone to church every morning, but he certainly had blood on his hands. He increased the prospect of nuclear war by revealing something called the continuity of government plan.
This is the way the U.S. government protects itself against an attack, primarily a nuclear attack, but it could be a huge terrorist attack. I mean, this is the holy of the holy, and he compromises this program.
Hanssen also derailed one of the most expensive National Security Agency projects ever undertaken.
During the 1980s, a tunnel is dug, snaking all the way from Georgetown to a spot below the Russian embassy, to eavesdrop on secret Soviet communications.
The reality was that the Russians knew all about this system, which cost more than $1 billion, before it ever became operational.
For his Russian handlers, Hanssen is proving to be the perfect spy.
He was a superb source I ran and supervised hundreds of agents, including some very important and valuable in the United States, but none was equal to Robert Hanssen. None, absolutely.
To make their case watertight, investigators are still determined to catch Hanssen making a dead drop. The breakthrough comes once the data is fully decrypted.
The Palm Pilot gave us a drop location.
The codename Ellis means Foxstone Park.
The data card gave us a date.
February 18th, 8 p.m. It's the day of the scheduled dead drop. Investigators still can't be sure whether Hanssen knows he's being watched. By now, a surveillance team of more than 50 people is shadowing his every move. But where is he headed? Agents report that he's not alone. Longtime buddy Jack Hoschauer is with him. Suddenly, the watchers report alarming news.
All systems be advised. Forming direction in the way of Dulles International Airport. Copy that.
There must have been some very, very sweaty people who were trying to keep track of him when he went into a major international airport where he could board a plane and escape to Russia or some other country. Of course, he knew how to try and slip surveillance. He had a fake passport and an identification.
Take some time. Do it. Thanks, Bob. Not a problem, Jack. Let's see, I'll pop the trunk for you.
He's there to drop off his pal. He heads back towards home. But now, something strange is happening. Hanssen pulls into a shopping mall parking lot. He needs to check something in the trunk. Could he be preparing a bundle of documents? Is the most successful spy of all time about to walk into a trap? Hanssen returns to the highway, and soon there's no doubt where he's headed and why. He approaches Foxstone Park, but the drop is scheduled for much later that night.
He arrives very early. He comes in a little after 4:40, and the surveillance teams had been there just a few minutes, so they had to scramble to be in place.
His every move is now being watched and taped. This is what Eric O'Neill has been praying for. Now Hanssen is no longer merely a conspirator, but guilty of espionage, a crime which may land him on death row.
Those were his last steps that he took as a free man. Officers yelled, "Freeze!" Even as they were putting handcuffs on him, Hanssen said, "What took you so long?"
It was an enormous sigh of relief that this was finally over, and I didn't have to keep up this facade of deception and lies.
When I found out that Bob was arrested for espionage, I felt as I had got kicked in the stomach. We were all in this fight together. We were working as a brotherhood. How dare you? How could you do that to us?
I'm glad we caught the guy, but why Hanssen did what he did is the million-dollar question.
The spy has a stark choice: talk or face execution. He agrees to submit to interrogation and reveal the secrets he has kept for 20 years. Perhaps the greatest secret of them all, Hanssen says that he has been confessing his treachery for many years to his priest.
I have sinned against you. May God give you peace.
He was told to pray more and cease spying, but never did.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
A complex mix of motives begins to emerge. Hanssen admits that he loved the thrill of secretly shaping events on the world stage.
It must have been an incredible high to realize you were in that much control of the world for a while, and he has the ultimate power.
Money, Hanssen reveals, was secondary. He feared Bonnie would become suspicious if he brought home more than his modest FBI salary. His affair with a stripper proved the easiest way of enjoying his dirty money. Gifts, including a second-hand Mercedes car and items of jewelry, came from his KGB payoffs.
Hanssen, on average, received $30,000 per year for betraying one's country, for selling secrets worth billions of dollars, for putting his own life at risk. Chump change.
In one extraordinary session with the psychiatrist, Hanssen offered his own explanation.
I came in, sat down, and shut up, and 2 hours later I left, trying to absorb all the stuff that he had to say.
Hanssen confides that beneath a joyful veneer, his childhood included torment, breeding lifelong resentment.
He was an only child, and his father was a Chicago city cop, who was one of these really tough dudes, and was not a warm, supportive, and mentoring father. In fact, he would, on many occasions, humiliate his own little son.
Hanssen says the FBI was filled with characters just like his father, authoritarian, demanding, never willing to praise or reward him. And so he hit back in the only way he could.
Of all the things that I learned, I think that may have been the largest seed around which grew this spying career.
But some who've studied the case say that lying and deception are what Hanssen does best.
There are plenty of people who had fathers who were not warm and fuzzy, and I don't think he feels a bit sorry for what he's done. That's why I think he's evil.
I think that Hanssen himself even had to know that he was evil. He certainly is a study in conundrum. This corrupt individual was a family man who believed in God, yet he became the worst spy in our history.